All right, now we're rolling. All right, we're live. Okay, question number 7, hyperinflation. You got a little brother or sister? You know what hyper means? Real fast. Okay, so hyperinflation, Brazil had 2,800% inflation in 1994. That sucked. That was really bad. Okay, so what they did in Brazil was they had a recession going. They had fuel crisis. They had fuel issues like gasoline, and they decided to print more money. Was the idea. So the fancy version of saying print more money is continuous expansion of the money supply to finance government budget deficits. Their government was running out of money, so they just printed more of it. Not good idea. So when you guys get elected to the Senate or House someday, don't come up with that idea. If our government's out of money, okay, tell everyone, don't print more money. That would be a great idea, okay? That is the glaring obvious one about hyperinflation. This is just fancy. Continuous expansion of money supply. This is our paper currency, okay? Our money supply. All right? So don't do that. It makes hyperinflation. That's really bad. All right. Number 8. All of the following changes will shift the investment demand curve to the right except. Remember, investment demand is our level of investment demand, and whatever, it's either going to be the real interest rate or the nominal interest rate. So how much investment demand we have, sorry, that is a G and that is a D. That's the investment demand curve. That's how many people out there want to borrow. How many borrowers are out there. So remember, a shift means that the thing is either going to shift to the right or shift to the left. This is saying all the following changes will shift investment demand curve to the right. That shift to the right is an increase, isn't it? So what of these things is going to get more borrowers out there in the market? So if you're a farmer and you need a $500,000 tractor, what's going to get you to finally say yes to going to borrow that money? What's the thing that will make you go do it? What's that? Okay, maybe a tax incentive, something like that. And this says in bold, big letters, except. So now, find the one that doesn't make you want to go borrow money. Oh. Which one is glaring at you?
The one that raises taxes.
High interest rates.
Oh, yeah.
Do you want to borrow at high interest?
No.
No. You have to pay more to borrow the money, don't you? Okay? So all of these, if I get a decrease in my corporate tax rate, yeah, I might go borrow some money. If my machines become better, productivity of new capital goods, that could allow me to have some flexibility in my finances to go find some new loans and do something. An increase in corporate profits, I have more money. I can buy more machines, right? Increase in real GDP. If real GDP goes up, don't you have a job? Aren't people buying stuff from you? Can you go borrow some money and buy a new tractor? Yeah. So what is going to keep you from doing it? High interest rates. Okay, so that's what investment demand is. Simply how many borrowers are out there, and it's usually in the capital goods market. Okay. All right. Any questions about that? Make sense? Awesome. Okay. Number 9. We've covered unemployment. The official unemployment rate understates the unemployment level in the economy because the official unemployment rate. Okay. So write down the unemployment rate formula. We're going to take the number of unemployed. What are we dividing it by? The labor force. That's where I feel people are the least educated about the unemployment rate. The unemployment rate is not how many people in our country have a job. It's how many people want a job and how many of them get one. Okay? If you don't want a job, you're not unemployed. You're just not in the labor force. So remember, all these people right here in the labor force want jobs. This is a combination of those who have a job and those who don't, and they all want one. Okay? So the problem with that, when we understate something, that means it's not telling us all the info, right? We're not getting everything we need. So what it does is it ignores underemployed, people who are getting their hours cut, discouraged workers. A discouraged worker, they are looking for work, aren't they? And they can't find it. That is a problem. So this doesn't help us with these two things. someone who has 40 hours a week and they're cut to 10 hours, okay, they are underpaid, aren't they? But they're also employed, aren't they? People who are discouraged workers hate their job. Maybe they're looking for another one. They can't find one. They're stuck in a low-paying job. So the unemployment rate still looks good, doesn't it? However, we just don't know what these people are doing. Okay, ones who want better jobs, more hours, who hate their jobs and want to find better pay, better standard of living. Okay, so that's a major flaw in our unemployment rate. All right, number 10. If a reduction in aggregate supply is followed by an increase in aggregate demand, which of the following will definitely occur? Okay, so remember, short-run aggregate supply is something of our pig, and one of these things has decreased. Something is making our businesses slow down. Now, if aggregate supply decreases, what happens to GDP? I'm asking y'all. Yeah, supply went down. Are we making stuff? No. So GDP is going to decrease. If GDP decreases, what happens to your job? Your boss says, guess what? We're not making stuff today. Go home. You don't get paid, do you? No. Okay. So that can make the unemployment rate change. It will make that rise. Now, if aggregate demand, well, let's start with elimination, right? So you can take one part, a reduction in aggregate supply. It says which of the following will definitely occur. So whatever happens in supply also has to happen in demand to solve this question. So I can eliminate, if aggregate supply is going to decrease, is output going to increase? No, it's not. We're making less supply, aren't we? Okay. Output will decrease? That's possible, isn't it? Output will not change. Maybe it could be an indeterminate. Price level will decrease. Is stuff going to get cheaper if there's less of it available? No, it goes up in value. Or not value, it's more expensive because it's more scarce. And things are scarce, they're more expensive. So I can get rid of that one, can't I? Okay. Output is decreasing. However, we're also going to have an aggregate demand increase. What does GDP do when aggregate demand goes up? Aggregate demand goes up. People want it. Don't people make it? Okay. So that's going to make GDP go up. Output is GDP. So our GDP output is how much stuff are we making, how many goods and services. So now I know output is not going to decrease because that aggregate demand is going to go up. Now, if it doesn't change, that's an indeterminate. This is not a correct answer. It is an acceptable answer, but it's not completely right. Do you know how much supply went up or how much demand went up? So we can't offset, can we? We have no idea. So I can get rid of that one. What does that leave us with? We know we're going to have inflation. If people want it, it gets expensive. If there's less of it, it gets expensive. There's a reason people get beat up at Best Buy, right? At Christmas? Yeah. So those are your reasons right there. There's less of it and people want it. Make sense? Awesome. Price level will increase. Remember, that's also called inflation. And you'll tell me if I get the paper sideways and it's not going to be on the video. All right. Which of the following combinations of changes in government spending and taxes is necessarily expansionary? Okay, now I'm going to train you a little bit on these columns. Okay? The columns, the key is go with what you know and solve one column at a time, and that will eliminate a lot of variables. So what I mean by that is when I'm looking at, teach cover columns with eliminate. Nice note to myself. Okay. Thank you, future self. All right. Which of the following combinations... Oh, wait. I'm thanking my past self, aren't I? Past self. Thank you. Now, and I did this last semester. All right. Which of the following combinations of changes in government spending and taxes is expansionary? So, if you got your green stuff available, I'm thinking, what is government spending and expansionary? What is government spending doing? Up or down? Expansionary. Okay. What are taxes doing? Okay. So let's go over here. And which ones can you get rid of? I can get rid of you, and you. So now, I've got these two. What do taxes need to do? Decrease. See how much? You don't have to read through every scenario on both sides of the variable, do you? Okay, cover up one column. The column you know the best, you know for sure, that can eliminate a lot of answer choices. If you're unsure about the other column, then at least you're already down to just these two by knowing expansionary government spending. Okay? All right. Number 12, the amount of money that the public wants to hold in the form of cash. Okay, when the public holds cash, are they spending it? No, they're not spending it. Are they putting it in the bank? No. So if they're not putting it in the bank, they're not consuming it, and they're not saving it. Those are your two options with your money. So now, where does money go if I'm not putting it, if I were to put it in the bank, what market or what graph does it go into? The loanable funds market. Okay? The loanable funds market, when we go to make a deposit, we put our money into the supply of loanable funds. You put it in the bank. Does anyone here want to be a finance major or work at a bank or work in the money sector somewhere? Okay? If you're going to work in a bank and on Monday morning after paycheck Friday, everyone deposited on Friday, right? When you go and look at your numbers on Monday morning, do you have more money to loan out?
Yes.
Yes. That's what banks do. When you guys, if you have a checking account, right now that bank has loaned your money out. It's not physically there. Okay? They only have to keep 10% of your deposits. They can loan the rest out. So, if we have an increase in the supply of loanable funds, so the amount of money the public wants to hold in the form of cash will do what? Be unaffected by any change in interest rates. That's not true. Are we driven by incentive? Do we do stuff for a reason? Are we greedy? Mm-hmm. Correct. If you're holding cash, is it making you money?
No.
How can it make you money out of these choices? Yeah, what's going to change your mind? The amount of money that you have in your hand, what is going to change your mind about that money in your hand? Well, any change, be unaffected by interest rates? Nope, not true. If interest rates go up, would you want to hold more money in your hand? So this increase and decrease is about the money in your hand. That's what all these choices are about, is about the money in your hand. So it's, if interest rates are high, are you going to put more money in your hand? No. Are you going to have less money in your hand if interest rates go up? Yes. Where are you putting the money now? In the bank to earn interest. Okay? So I would like to put my money in the bank to earn interest. Would the amount of money holding in your hand go up if stuff gets cheaper? No, you'd go spend it, wouldn't you? So increase if price level goes up. That means you'd want to go, if things are getting cheaper, you'd go spend that money that's in your hand, wouldn't you? All right? And then the amount of money in your hand, cash to hold, decrease if price level remains constant. That's not true. If prices stay the same, you're going to do the same habit, aren't you? The money in your hand or your wallet. So the best answer is letter C.